Under the fading light of a late autumn afternoon, 5 friends, Jake, Sarah, Mark, Emma, and Leo, set off on what they believed would be a memorable hiking trip in the rugged expanse of Pine Hollow Forest. With dew-damped leaves crunching underfoot and the scent of pine wafting through the brisk air, they felt an intoxicating thrill of adventure. However, tales of eerie encounters and strange happenings in these woods lingered like shadows in their minds. As darkness settled around their campsite on the first night, unsettling sounds echoed from deep within the woods, soft whispers that seemed to dance on the wind, and twigs cracking under unseen weight. Laughter turned into nervous glances as they huddled around a flickering campfire. Emma proposed that they tell ghost stories to lighten the mood, but instead her chilling tale about a creature that prowled these very woods brought unease rather than laughter. On the second night, after tossing and turning in their tents, plagued by nightmares filled with shadows and distorted faces, they awoke to find Leo missing. Panic surged through them as they scoured nearby paths, calling his name into the silent void. They found only his backpack, discarded near an ominous ticket. By dawn on the third day, dread hung heavy in the air. The remaining friends decided to push deeper into the forest to search for Leo. As they ventured further from familiar trails, strange markings began to appear on trees, gnarled symbols that looked disturbingly like claw marks, and faint screams echoed through dense underbrush. As twilight descended once again, and fear clung to them tighter than ever before, they stumbled upon an open clearing where a foul stench wafted toward them, a graveyard of bones scattered about like a macabre offering. The ground trembled beneath their feet as a spine-chilling growl reverberated through the air. It revealed itself then, a towering figure with gaunt limbs and sharp antlers protruding from its head, the Wendigo. The creature stalked them with unnatural speed. It moved like smoke through trees, while its breath sounded raspy and tortured. They split up in frantic desperation. Jake was caught first. The sound of tearing flesh resonated behind them as his terrified scream faded into silence. The remaining 3 raced through darkness as branches whipped against their faces and roots twisted underfoot like serpents seeking vengeance. Mark tripped but scrambled back up just in time for Emma to grab his arm while Sarah urged him forward before horror caught up with them again. This time it lunged at Emma, but Mark managed to yank her out of its grasp just before it could clamp down on her. In their frenzied escape from death's grip, they stumbled upon a concealed cave cloaked by foliage, a lair thick with despair where distant whimpering sent chills down their spines. Inside lay Leo, bound against rough stone walls, haggard yet alive, but seemingly trapped between consciousness and nightmare. As echoes of the Wendigo's howls drew closer outside, Mark freed Leo just as Sarah ignited a torch using remnants found within. A desperate torchlight against overwhelming darkness. Together, they fought back against their pursuer with makeshift weapons fashioned from rocks and branches while fleeing deeper into its lair. Not all would make it out alive. When dawn broke over Pine Hollow Forest, mirroring blood-red skies streaked with sorrowful grey clouds above it felt like victory, but only for 2. Mark was left behind fighting until he could no longer withstand horror when he leapt toward freedom only for one last scream, signifying terror echoing through those haunted woods. Having survived physically, but emotionally scarred beyond repair, Sarah and Leo stumbled onto familiar trails, leading back home, yet every rustle reminded her that some horrors never truly leave you. They haunt you long after you escape your worst fears, lingering like whispers carried away by pines behind them where darkness reigns unchallenged, still waiting for its next prey. Subject: You won't believe what happened in Arizona. Read this before deleting. Hey man, I know this might sound like some campfire bullshit or late night creepypasta, but I swear to God, what I'm about to tell you actually happened. I'm writing this out now because I haven't slept right in days, and maybe putting it into words will help me breathe easier. Or maybe I just want someone else to know, in case I start sounding like a lunatic someday. You know me, EMT out of New Orleans, married, 2 boys, level-headed, been through my fair share of wrecks, overdoses, gunshot scenes, all that grim stuff. So when I tell you what I saw at that gas station off Route 87 in Arizona was real, I'm not saying it lightly. We were on a cross-country drive, me and 3 old hunting buddies, Jordan, Clay, and Benny. We'd taken time off work and planned to hit some hunting grounds near New Mexico after stopping in Arizona to grab supplies and take in the landscape. Jordan's idea. I had my doubts, but it sounded like a good way to decompress. Anyway, it was late afternoon. The sun was bleeding out over the desert when we pulled into this busted up gas station. You know the kind, peeling paint, broken ice cooler out front, one flickering sign that probably hadn't worked in years. But there were lights on inside, and we figured we'd grab drinks and top off the tank before heading toward Flagstaff. That's when I felt it. You ever get the sense someone's watching you? Not like in a city where it's people. I mean like something out there in the wild. Something that shouldn't be able to look at you the way it does. But it is, and it has been for a while. I noticed Clay looking out at the desert while the rest of us went inside. He's got sharp eyes from our hunting trips, and I trust his guts more than most. I asked him what he saw, and he just shrugged like he didn't want to say it out loud. Inside the gas station had a weird smell. Not quite rot, but like old meat. I figured maybe a fridge had gone bad. The guy behind the counter didn't say a word to us, just stood there, staring, eyes sunken like he hadn't slept in a year. When Benny cracked a joke, the guy didn't even blink. I grabbed the water and some jerky. When I came out, I saw Clay was still watching the tree line about 100 feet out past the pump station. It was just desert scrub and brush, and this one crooked-ass tree that looked more dead than alive. But something, was behind it. I saw the shoulder first, hunched, barely moving. Then I realized it wasn't hunched, it was leaning, in a way that didn't make sense. Too long, too thin. The head was tilted, like it was curious, but it never stepped forward, just sat behind the tree, staring. Jordan laughed it off, said it was some local meth head trying to scare tourists. But even Benny went quiet, and that man jokes through hurricanes. We got the hell out of there fast, but about a mile down the road, the radio in the truck started acting up. Static, then silence, then this sound like bones snapping underwater. I swear that's the best way I can describe it. And then we hit something. Not a bump, something. We screeched to a stop. Nothing in the headlights. Clay and I got out, rifle slung over our shoulders. Benny stayed with the truck, hand on his sidearm. The air had that thick, dead quiet. No insects, no birds. Just wind sweeping through the desert like it was trying to bury a secret. Then we heard it again. Not the snapping this time, it was breathing from behind a mound of rock maybe 30 feet out. Slow, long, like something that hadn't breathed air in a while and was relearning how. I said we should leave, but before we could even turn back, it came over the rocks. Tall, emaciated, skin pulled tight, like old leather. The thing had antlers, but they weren't like a deer's. They looked grown from the skull, twisted and too large for the head. Eyes like hot coals and teeth like splinters. And it smiled at us. I know Wendigo stories, read about them years ago, back when I used to thumb through those yellow tabloids while waiting for my shift to start. Used to laugh at stories of hikers going missing in the woods of Canada or northern states. Some folks saying they'd been taken by a spirit that eats human flesh and wears their skin. But what I saw that night wasn't a story. It moved fast, too fast. 1 second it was 20 feet away. Next second Jordan was screaming. I didn't even see it grab him. I just saw the blood arc through the air. He was down, dragged into the dark, and his screams didn't even last 5 seconds. We shot. Every round we had. I saw Benny's sidearm light up like fireworks. Craig got off 3 shots with his 308 before the thing hissed and vanished behind the rocks again. But it didn't run like an animal. It retreated like it was playing a game, like it knew we'd try to chase it or hide, and it was deciding what would be more fun. We didn't chase. We ran. Left Jordan's gear, left the truck, took only what we had strapped to us, and ran down the highway. My lungs were fire, my legs barely holding me. Clay had a twisted ankle, and I had to half carry him. Eventually, lights appeared. A minivan. I don't know if the driver saw the look in our eyes or what, but they didn't hesitate to stop. We shoved into the back, screaming for them to go, go, go. We didn't stop till we hit a diner near Payson. We called the police, told them everything, or most of it. Said it was an animal attack, bear maybe. They found the gas station, empty, no clerk, no sign of Jordan, just blood. The truck was still there, locked, all our gear gone. They questioned us for hours. We told them what we could without sounding insane. They let us go, said they'd investigate further, but I don't think they're looking anymore. It's like that gas station wasn't supposed to exist, like it popped up just long enough for that thing to play with us, then vanished back into the desert. I don't hunt anymore. Can't. Every time I hear a branch crack or the wind shift, I feel that thing's eyes on me again. Sometimes I dream of it. The antlers, the smile, Jordan's screams. I'm telling you this because I need someone to believe me. Not the cops, not some online forum. You. Just you. Stay out of Arizona. And if you ever see something that looks like a person but isn't, something too tall, too thin, with hunger in its eyes, run. Sylvester. Subject: don't go hiking near Chamberlain Lake. I mean it. Read this. Hey man, I don't even know how to start this without sounding like I've lost my damn mind. But you're one of the few people I trust to not laugh this off. You know, I'm not some paranoid nutcase, right? I've worked jobs that would make most people puke, been in enough fights, accidents and close calls to know what real danger looks like. I don't scare easy, but I've never seen anything like what I saw up in Maine. So here's what happened. About 2 weeks ago, I took a short trip with some buddies I met while working a contract job near Boston. Blue collar, crew like me, good people. Aaron, Kyle, and Dom. We talked about getting out into nature for a day hike before winter hit, and Aaron suggested the Chamberlain Lake region up in the North Woods. Rugged country but beautiful. Not a lot of tourists that time of the year either. I brought my dog, Charger, his big shepherd mix. Smart, well trained, never lets me down. It was early October. Autumn had the trees lit up like fire, but the weather was crap. Constant drizzle, muddy trails, low clouds hanging between the birch and pines. Still, it felt good to get away. I hadn't been hunting since the spring, and just being in the woods again put me in a better headspace. We parked near a forest road, laced up, grabbed our gear, just day packs, some snacks, radios and sidearms. I carried my 357 not because I expected trouble, but black bears don't always give warnings, and the forest doesn't care if you're careful. We hiked a few hours in, nothing crazy, talked about life, jobs, the usual. Charger kept trotting ahead, sniffing tree trunks and vanishing into the mist, then circling back. Around noon, we hit this clearing by an old logging trail. The woods had that unnatural quiet, like everything was holding its breath. I figured it was the rain keeping the birds and critters low, but Charger stopped. He froze near a dead log, ears back, growling real low. I walked up to him, thinking maybe he scented a porcupine or something. That's when I noticed something was off about the trees. On the far side of the trail, like they were bent inward slightly, not naturally, like they'd grown that way around something heavy that used to sit in the middle and had just left. Dom made a joke about it looking like a witch circle or something. We laughed, moved on, but Charger wouldn't stop growling until we were a solid 100 yards past it. That was the first sign. I should have turned around then. Later that afternoon the fog got thicker. We decided to head back, retracing our path. But as we got close to the clearing again, Aaron pointed toward the trees and said, "What was that there?" It was a pile of bones, not animal bones either. They were long like arms or legs, with teeth marks chewed into the ends. Fresh, white, sitting just off the trail, half covered in wet leaves. No skull, just femurs, ribs, and vertebrae. Looked like they'd been snapped in half like twigs. We all went silent. Even Charger was whining now, tail between his legs. He didn't bark, didn't growl. He just stared at the tree line. We decided right then to take a different route back, even if it took longer. That's when I saw it. Only for a second, maybe not even a full second. Between two trees, about 50 feet away, something tall, emaciated, pale, not quite white, more like stretched sinew and dried skin. Its arms hung too low, and it had antlers, big, jagged, not symmetrical, like dead branches fused into its skull. But the worst part was its eyes. They glowed, even through the fog, a cold, hungry glow, and then it was gone, just vanished. I didn't say anything at first, figured I was seeing things. Stress, the fog, you know. But 10 minutes later, Dom screamed. He'd fallen back from the group to adjust his boot, and when we turned around, he was gone. Just gone. No sounds of struggle, no warning. 1 second he was there, next only his pack was laying on the trail, split open like it had been torn off him mid-run. Aaron and Lyle panicked. I told them to shut up, stay low, and get their weapons out. Charger started barking like mad, but he wasn't running, he was trying to stay with me. The dog would never abandon me. We huddled down behind a rock outcrop. Rain was picking up, pattering on leaves, masking every little sound. Every damn shadow between the trees felt alive. We started moving, Slow, quiet. Lyle took the lead, Aaron behind him. I stayed in the back with Charger. We only made it half-mile before Lyle tripped over something. Dom's body, or what was left of it. His chest had been ripped open, not clawed, ripped, spine exposed, organs gone, one leg snapped off like a chicken bone. His face was frozen in this awful look, like he'd seen something so horrifying he died still trying to scream. Aaron threw up. I damn near did too. But there, behind the body, was a trail of red leading off the path into the deeper woods. Fresh blood mixed with footprints, bare, human-shaped, but wrong. 2 long toes spread out, almost hoof-like, but with heel imprints, something walked upright, something dragging, something else. Charger wouldn't move. I had to yank his leash just to keep him with me. We kept going, quiet as we could, guns drawn, rain still coming down. I think it was maybe 4 p.m. by then, but it felt like night had already fallen. That thing, it was toying with us, like it wanted us to see Dom's body, wanted us afraid. And it worked. We heard a snap behind us, then a rush of wind, trees shaking, and then Aaron was gone. No scream this time, just a wet crunch, and his flashlight spinning across the trail like it'd been thrown. Lyle and I ran, didn't even speak. Charger barked once and tore off ahead of us into the brush. I followed him, Lyle behind me. We must have run for 20 minutes, dodging roots, slipping on wet leaves, our legs on fire. My heart was pounding, so hard I thought it would explode. Eventually, we came to a dry stream bed and dropped down into it, hit under a fallen tree. And there it was again, above us, standing on the ridge. That same pale, skeletal frame, joints bent the wrong way, skin wrapped so tight around bones it looked like it might split, and those eyes glowing like coals in the mist. It didn't move for a long time, just watched. I didn't breathe, Lyle didn't either. I had 1 shot left in my revolver, and I knew it wouldn't do a damn thing. Then, like it had lost interest, it turned and melted into the fog. We waited another 10 minutes, maybe more. Then we started moving again, slow, careful. Charger led us this time, ears alert. That dog saved us, man. Led us down an old trail that eventually spat us out near a dirt road. We flagged down a truck. We didn't talk to the cops. What would we say? That something in the woods tore our friends apart, that we saw something that wasn't human. Lyle hasn't returned my calls. I don't think he wants to remember. But I do, because whatever that thing was, that Wendigo, as I learned later, it's real. I looked it up after. Native stories from the Algonquin people, centuries old. A creature born of cannibalism, of greed and endless hunger. The forest makes them, the cold feeds them. They eat, but they're never full. I didn't believe in any of that, not until Maine. So I'm telling you now, don't go hiking up there. Don't go near Chamberlain. Don't go into the North Woods, especially alone, because it's still out there, and it's still hungry. James. Subject: you won't believe me. Just promise me you'll read all of this. Hey, it's Sam. I know it's been a minute. I wouldn't be writing if this was just a regular trip went bad story. But I need to tell someone what happened. Someone who might actually listen and not laugh it off or think I cracked under pressure. This isn't easy for me to write. Hell, I've seen people burn alive. I've pulled twisted bodies out of wrecked cars, being a firefighter in Austin. You learn to build walls in your head, but this? What happened last summer? I still haven't figured out how to process it. We were supposed to be on a weekend getaway, just me and 3 buddies I'd known for years, Nick, Jared and Ben, all of us ex-military or first responder types, so no one's soft. We wanted to get away from the Texas heat and thought a hiking trip up in Superior National Forest in Minnesota would be perfect. Cloudy weather, no tourists, tall pines and silence, just what we needed. We weren't even supposed to be in the deep woods, just a couple days out and back. Camp by the lake, maybe fish, maybe not. Just walk, drink, shoot the breeze, recharge. We got there early on Friday, parked near one of the access roads and started hiking around 9 a.m. Everything felt fine, weather was cloudy but not cold. Trail was soft underfoot, the kind that silences your steps without you thinking about it. And the smell, that earthy deep forest smell, it felt like breathing for the first time in months. By early afternoon we had gone off trail, not far, just following a creek that twisted through the woods. We figured we'd set up camp near a bend where the water pulled out and the rocks formed a sort of natural ledge. Around 3 or 4, we stopped to rest. I was messing with the camp stove. That's when I first saw it. There was someone or something behind the tree, not moving, not making a sound, just sitting there. Now, when I say sitting, I mean crouched low, pressed against the bark like a shadow that didn't belong, tall as hell, even hunched. Its arms were too long, bent sharp at the joints. I couldn't see its face, but I could feel it. You know that sensation when someone stares at you from across a room? Multiply that by 10 and drop it into the middle of nowhere. I nudged Ben and asked if he saw it too. He did. His face went pale. The others thought we were messing around, but by the time they looked, it was gone. Just a tree again, nothing else. Ben and I didn't push it. We chalked it up to shadow play and tired eyes. But we were wrong. That night things changed. We had set up the tents near a rocky overhang. There was no wind, but the forest had this tightness to it, like the air itself didn't want us there. We started a small fire, but the heat didn't seem to stretch out like it should have. The darkness was thick, too thick, like the woods were holding their breath, waiting. Around 1 a.m. we were in our tents. I couldn't sleep, felt like I was being watched again. And then we heard it. Not footsteps, not exactly. It was movement, yes, but slow, deliberate. Something heavy brushing against the bark, something sliding along the ground without the clumsiness of a bear or a moose. I unzipped my tent as quiet as I could. The fire was mostly coals. And at the edge of the site, right at the tree line, there it was again, crouched. But this time it wasn't trying to hide. Its skin was stretched tight, almost translucent. You could see the ribs, the arms ended in what looked like fingers, but too long and too bony, and its face, God help me, its face didn't belong on anything alive. Hollow eyes like black pits, and a mouth, not open, but the idea of it. The suggestion of teeth behind the stretched lips, long yellow needle-like. I didn't breathe, I couldn't. Then it stood up, and I swear to you it didn't make a sound. 8, maybe 9 feet tall. And when it moved, it was like it glided rather than stepped. I dove back into the tent, whispered to Ben, who was already awake. We heard the thing move around us, slow circles. No heavy crunches, just soft shifts in the underbrush. Nick was asleep, or pretending. Jared was muttering prayers. It didn't leave until almost dawn. We didn't either. We just sat there, silent, until the sky turned grey again. By morning, we were wrecked. All of us had heard it. All of us had seen something. We wanted to leave, tried to leave, but every trail we took just seemed to loop back. GPS went weird, compass spun. It was like the forest had shifted during the night, and we were no longer where we thought we were. We tried to keep moving, figured we could hike our way out by dead reckoning. And that's when it slammed into us. No warning, just this thunderous crack through the woods, and Nick went flying. Hit a tree so hard I heard his ribs break from 20 feet away. Ben opened up with his 40. 3 shots into the trees, didn't even slow it down. I caught just a glimpse before it was on us, moving between trunks like a shadow, fast as hell, all claws and bones and rage. It hit Jared next, didn't kill him but dislocated his shoulder like it was nothing. I lit up a flare and threw it at him. It seemed to work. The fire worked. It shrieked, a sound I'll never forget, and vanished into the brush. We knew it was coming back and we weren't getting out before dark, so we rigged up the perimeter. Small fires, makeshift torches. We took turns watching while the others tried to rest. That night was worse. It didn't attack, it toyed with us. Circling the camp, mimicking Jared's voice from the woods, saying our names, stepping just close enough to the firelight that we could see the curve of its spine, the glint of teeth. It was letting us know it could end us anytime it wanted. Around 3 a.m., it started hurling rocks, big ones. One hit Ben in the leg, crushed his ankle. He screamed. The thing screamed back, same pitch, same exact scream, mocking him. We knew we weren't making it until sunrise, so we waited until it circled to the far side, and then we ran, carried Ben between us, left our gear, left everything, moved slow and low, used the fires as cover, doused ourselves in ash to blend into the woods. We crept, every branch, crack felt like a gunshot. At some point, the trees opened and we found the road, dirt and gravel, no cars, but it was out. I've never felt anything like that, like the forest had stopped breathing the second we left it. We flagged down a ranger truck in an hour later, told them we got attacked by a bear, half true. They didn't ask questions, said weird stuff happens up there, said the weather plays tricks on your head. We never reported it. Nick survived, cracked ribs, concussion. Jared's shoulder healed. Ben walks with a cane now, but none of us talk about it, except me, because I need you to know this happened. I looked it up afterward. Wendigo. I thought it was a joke, a campfire myth, but it lines up. Northern woods, the hunger, the voice mimicry, the eyes, the speed, the slam. Whatever we saw, it wasn't an animal. It was something older, something that shouldn't exist. And it hates us. Don't go up there, promise me that. Sam.